Together, it's good, but definitely the town's coming together a lot. I noticed everyone was outside clapping. It's good.
Everyone was outside clapping. Now, where in relation to here do you live?
I live by the middle school, so not that far away.
Not that far away. What was the level of tension, the level of fear, anxiety as this whole thing was going on?
Definitely gripped around the TV, some white knuckles. It was pretty intense.
And how about now, that sense of relief?
Definitely, like, elephant off my chest. Feels pretty good. I just came to check on my aunt, who was pretty close to the action, so I just wanted to see how she was doing.
Obviously, there's still there's excitement here, but it's still somber. There's mourning, of course, for what has happened. What can you say about that? The fact that we're still mourning while celebrating the fact that there's an end to this.
It's going to take a while, but I think we're going to come together, and definitely people who lost their lives, definitely are going to remember them forever.
What's your name?
Dana Hammerly.
Okay, Dana, thank you so much. I'm glad you stayed safe through all this. These people so happy that they can finally get outside and actually do this and cheer on the police. So much pride here, I think, in the local law enforcement effort that brought this guy to justice just about an hour and a half ago. And again, just seeing that excitement build and kind of it's scattered. You know, there were a couple of people who had heard maybe there was a suspect caught, then the police themselves who were at the perimeter here keeping people from going closer to Franklin Street. They were the ones who actually started spreading the word and going around to different groups and saying, we got him, and eventually it just became an uproar here of cheers, and especially as the authorities came through. People showing their appreciation. At one point, a police officer, and you can hear the officers as well, the authorities, they're honking their horns in celebration, and some of them saying, God bless America on loudspeakers as they go through, honking their horns, letting the people know they appreciate that they've been through a tough couple of days here as well. Ed and Liz?
And I'm here with you too, Liam, and just seeing that flag waving behind you and all the emotion behind you is really an extraordinary display right now. And when you consider, as he said, all of the emotions that people have gone through at the start of the week, just the sheer anguish and devastation that people were experiencing, and then the anxiety and the fear, all, you know, everything building up to that point.
And the tension of the last 24 hours.
And the last several hours.
Yeah.
It's just been extraordinary.
And the anger we heard from people as well, that this would happen in our city, that this would happen on Patriots Day at the Marathon, an event that is for families and something we celebrate every single year. There's been a lot of anger this week at this incident happening.
So it's a release and a relief, as the president said, that we're closing this chapter.
There was a visible frustration, and not 4.5 hours ago.
Yeah.
A visible frustration on the face of everyone, and everyone who was working this case, everyone in Watertown, when they were standing in front of the cameras and looking you straight in the eye and saying they have nothing truthfully, they haven't produced anything in the period of time, and they were viscerally disappointed in that.
Well, there were thousands who were combing, you know, every nook and cranny of the community of Watertown trying to find this guy today, and the fact that they hadn't found him after starting at however, like midnight last night or 1 o'clock in the morning, by 6 o'clock at night with all this enforcement, they still hadn't been able to find him.
And they lost a member of law enforcement.
And
that is a deeply personal thing.
And a second member, of course, was injured, was severely injured, and he is fighting for his life, on top of the 3 lives that were taken from us earlier this week on Monday in the marathon itself. We are closing in on 10:30 at night, and let's reset the scene for you on what has been just an amazing week here in Boston, an amazing day here in Watertown and Eastern Massachusetts. One word sums it up: captured. You can now put the word captured on the face of suspect number 2. The man in the white hat has been captured tonight.
This is 19-year-old Dzhokhar Zanayev. He has been captured and is in an ambulance as we speak, or at the hospital now as we speak. Heather?
And the picture of the inside the ambulance, as we're saying it, as grainy as it is, you can see that he has been badly wounded in a shootout with police, but he is alive. But let's take a listen to some of the gunfire that sort of set the stage for the battle that police fought with him. That's the shootout that happened with police late this afternoon, early this evening, after a man, a resident when police had given the okay for people to come outside of their homes. He stepped outside of his home. He noticed that near his boat there was a blood trail. He immediately called 911, and when officers arrived, this is what followed. They had a shootout with the suspect.
And that resident, the person who lives in Watertown, not only went to the boat and followed the blood trail, he peeled back the wrapping that was around his boat and saw a man inside, and the man moved.
What a terrifying moment for that
man was covered in blood, and clearly at that point in time he knew something was horribly wrong, and that's when he called 911. And then the rest is history. We know that he was captured. On the left you see suspect number 1, who is his older brother, 26-year-old Tamerlan Zanayev. He is dead. He was killed last night in a hail of gunfire in Watertown as well.
And now the legal process takes hold. And now the attachments will be made to the man who was survived right now. That is suspect number 2. Let's bring David Frank back into the conversation. David, would you suspect that he could? We were talking earlier about whether the death penalty would or would not be attached. Did you see a legal maneuver where he could find his way around that?
I mean, I guess anything's possible, not to sound too much like a lawyer, but he would have to give up some pretty important information in order to get that kind of consideration, one would think. I mean, obviously, it's a political decision as much as a legal one in terms of whether the Obama administration wants to seek the death penalty. But like we said a few minutes ago, if this isn't a case where you're going to seek it, then let me know the one that you would.
David, you know, his father in Chechnya was saying tonight, initially was saying he didn't believe